With music school auditions starting this month, I thought it would be a good idea to create a guide to help you decide what type of school you might want to enroll in as an undergraduate music major. As a Doctor of Musical Arts student who is finishing their 9th year of combined college and graduate studies, I've compiled this list from what I learned as an undergraduate all the way to now. So let's get into these 5 tips that you should think about before signing that acceptance letter. The first tip is location is everything. Ask yourself, do I want to do gigs in the area where I'll be in school? Where you decide to go to school dictates how integrated you become into the city or community that you're going to be living in. When choosing between schools in urban, suburban, and rural areas, here's some things you should think about. When considering schools in urban and suburban areas like Los Angeles, New York City, and Cleveland, you should think about the fact that when you're in a larger city, you're going to have a larger network of people available to you. As your network grows, that will also mean you'll have more opportunities to perform. When considering schools that may be in more rural areas, you won't have as many people available within your network, and there may be some other drawbacks as well. Say, for example, that you have your instrument damaged before a performance. It may take several days to send out your instrument. There may not be a repair shop in town that can do it. Whereas if you're living in an area that is more suburban or urban, there will likely be a lot of places near you that can repair your instrument quickly. Okay, so that brings us to the second point. Try to learn as much as you can about your own learning style. Now, I recognize this has nothing to do with the school itself, but rather, learning about your own style of learning will help you to decide what type of environment you'll thrive in best. For example, ask yourself, what type of student am I? If you're the type of student who thrives well with a teacher who gives them weekly assignments, who wants them to learn solo after solo, and is more involved, then you'll likely want a teacher who will do that for you. On the other hand, if you're the type of student who wants to bring in their own materials for their lessons and have it mostly be self-run, then you might want a teacher who is more laid back. Ask yourself, are you the type of student who needs a teacher that will help you fix large problems in your playing? And if so, then you'll want to find a teacher who maybe is a specialist in that area. By learning what type of student you are, you'll learn what type of environment you need to be in to thrive as an undergraduate. That brings me to the third point, which is ask as many current and former students about the program as possible. When thinking about what type of teaching style someone has, that can definitely be answered by a current or former student of that teacher. If possible, reach out to students in the studio and ask them what their experience has been in their lessons with their teacher and what type of materials they're working on. You should also ask them if their teacher or their student affairs office or career office is helping them to get gigs in the city that they're living in or to find performance opportunities, paid or unpaid. This will help you learn how much work you'll have to do on your own to also find work opportunities in the city that you'll be in. So this brings us to our next point, which is try to learn as much as possible about the playing opportunities that you'll have while at the school. When speaking to students in the program, you might want to ask them questions like how often they perform solo recitals, how often they perform in studio recitals, how often they play in student orchestras or wind ensemble. Also ask them if they know of any non-major groups that are available for performance majors to play in. When I was an undergraduate at Boston University, for example, I played in some theater shows and got to learn lead trumpet books for shows like Into the Woods and The Drowsy Chaperone. Doing so also helped me to build my network outside of the school, which actually led to a lot of playing opportunities from people who weren't associated with the School of Music at all. So this brings us to our last tip, which is try to find out as much as possible about the resources available to you at the school. First, ask questions about what sort of recording equipment is available. For example, if you have a recital coming up and you want to record that, it's great to know if there's somewhere on campus where there's either a recording studio or a performance hall set up where they can record it professionally for you. So first, you'll want to ask about recording equipment available to you for degree and non-degree related performances. Say, for example, that you want to record for a summer festival audition or for a solo competition. If you don't own the recording equipment, you'll have to either buy it, which may be an expense that you can't afford at the time, or you may be able to rent equipment through the school. Some schools have a recording studio available, or they have a performance hall set up with recording capabilities, and they'll allow you to use that. Sometimes free, but oftentimes with a fee. For this reason, you'll want to ask ahead about what resources will be available to you and how much they're going to cost you as well. And in terms of resources, the most important question, and I can't stress this enough, that you'll want to ask is, how easy is it to find a practice room? Some schools have a ton of practice rooms, and some schools have very few practice rooms available. So you'll want to ask a current student how easy it was to find a room, what type of rooms were available. For example, if you're a brass player, sometimes it's hard to practice exclusively in small rooms. You'll want to be able to practice in some rooms that have great acoustics and maybe large halls as well. So you'll want to ask what is available, and then you'll also want to ask for just practice rooms in general and rehearsals, how easy is it to find a room, and do you have to book a room in advance? What does the process for that look like? Without a practice room, it's going to be very difficult to practice on campus, so definitely be sure to ask this question. Okay, so those are the 5 tips that I have for choosing a school for your Bachelor of Music degree. So let's go back over them. First, consider the pros and cons of the location. Second, learn about your own learning style. Third, ask current students and former students about their experiences at the school. 4, learn about the performance opportunities available to you. And 5, learn about the general resources available to you through the school. If you have additional tips, please also feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date on all my future videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.